Welcome to the Audi stand at the Frankfurt Motor Show 2019. Now, next to me is the RS7, which we'll get to in a minute, but to help talk us around it and look a little bit into the future perhaps of Audi Sport, we have the Managing Director of Audi Sport, Oliver Hoffman. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Now, good to have you here.
Thank you very much. I thought a bit of your background, because you've been in VW Group for a while, but you were at Lamborghini for a while, quite early on. Is that right?
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, I started at VW and then I moved to Lamborghini. Then I moved to Audi and I was responsible for the high rev engines, the V engines for the R8. So
that's pretty good. That was an amazing engine. So was that at the time of the RS4 as well as the RS8?
RS4, the high rev engine, and the R8 with V8 with V10.
Yeah, absolutely. They're amazing engines. Still, sort of, I think.
Just still icons.
It's amazing how that V10 engine has managed to, be sustained all this time in the R8. Was that something that when it first came in, you envisaged it would be able to last that long?
Yeah, it was a consequent development work for the racetrack, and it's still an icon, and we have the engine in the series car, but also in the GT4 and GT3 it's nearly the same engine than in the series car, and it's an icon. It's amazing to drive it. The high rev engine, V10, natural aspirated.
Yeah, that's so good. Anyway, on to RS7, which is the latest one to launch. So this is essentially an RS6, isn't it? In a sleeker body.
Yeah, this is a progressive sedan with a coupe-like design, and we call them the Beauty and the Beast. So the RS7, the Beauty, the RS6, the Beast, and I'm really proud to present these cars here at the IAA.
So tell us a little bit about the powertrain that's underneath here, because it's a mild hybrid powertrain.
Yeah. Under the bonnet we have a V8 double-charged engine, 4 liter, but it's a completely new development. So completely new engine, completely new powertrain with a new gearbox, new engine. We start with 600 horsepower, 800 newton meters of torque. Yeah. So and that in combination with a mild hybrid, very efficient powertrain, and from 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds, and from 0 to 200 in no more than 12 seconds.
That's pretty good. So could you just explain to me a bit more about the mild hybrid sort of portion of the engine and how that's helping? Presumably mostly it's on efficiency, it's not adding any extra sort of boost.
It's in terms of comfort and efficiency, it's a very good system. So we use a 48 volt electrical system, so in parallel to the normal 12 volt system, with a starter generator system. That means you can, if you run the highway and the engine goes out, and you have the air conditioning also without driving the engine, and you have the comfort start. That means a very comfortable start of the engine, and this is part of this engine, and it's a good way. It's a very powerful, but on the other hand efficient powertrain.
Absolutely. And is there any way potentially in the future to make that, to give the added sort of an extra say electric boost into the engine as well? Because that's something we've sort of seen. Obviously Lamborghini has unveiled their car today, which has the motor and the gearbox, and adds that extra bit of sort of torque, and helps things like torque fill in, the gear shift and stuff like that, which I know is different because this is the automatic gearbox in here, obviously, rather than the dual clutch. But is that something potentially for the future we might see?
This car is a starting flag for the electrification of our RS portfolio. That means we have a clear electrification strategy for our high performance models, and next year we will launch the E-Tron GT, the first fully electric sports car for Audi, and we have some ideas between. So in the future you will see also plug-in hybrids in our portfolio, but with a clear focus on performance.
Absolutely. And if we come onto the chassis of this car, we've got an all-wheel dynamic steering system on this for the first time, which is obviously it's on RS6s as well, but that's how much difference has that made to the car?
It is it is 2 steps forward in terms of the current one. So with a dynamic steering system, awesome to drive this car with a very tight handling, and you have to feel it on the street, I think.
Absolutely. And looking forward to the electric side of it, the potential for torque vectoring within the electric must be really exciting in terms of what you can do for the handling of sort of the Audi Sport products in the future.
We have the new quattro differential on the rear, and together with a dynamic steering, it's a very dynamic drive with this car, and I love it. And as you know, all our cars, they have to run more than 8,000 kilometers on the Nürburgring. And our professional drivers, they said they were be excited to drive this car.
And one last question. So we started with the naturally aspirated V10. How long is that? We said how long it's done already. How long can it keep going for still?
First of all, let me say we launched the car, or the facelift car, beginning of this year. So we have some years before us, and I'm happy to have this car, the R8 with a V10 naturally aspirated engine. But the R8 was very important and is still important for our brand, and we are in the phase where we think about the next generation of sports car, and believe me, we will surprise you also with the next generation of sports car for our brand.
Excellent. I can't wait. Well, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully that was interesting. A few snippets of information perhaps about the future of Audi Sport. Things he didn't mention on this car: 2 types of suspension, so air suspension and standard 3-chamber air suspension, or the sport suspension, which is more standard sort of steel coil with adaptive dampers in it. Wheels, this is wearing 22-inch wheels, and behind which are 440mm carbon ceramic brakes for 20mm, so hardly small steel discs as standard, and 21-inch wheels as standard. What else about this car? It looks, although it has the wider tracks, it doesn't look as pumped up as the RS6. Some people love that, some people much prefer the RS6 look. It's just personal preference, and it really does seem to be divided into 2 camps. I get the impression that Oliver Hoffman probably prefers this car, which is quite interesting. But there we go. I think the mild hybrid system, which I was trying to get at, I think it could go further in this car. We've seen it in the Mercedes E53, their EQ boost system, where you actually get some real benefit. As we said with the Lamborghini, you get more of a performance benefit with this sort of bit of torque fill, or sort of aiding throttle response, I suppose. So that'll be interesting to see what they do in the future. We should be driving this hopefully fairly soon, and RS6 as well. So yeah, I suppose the proof of the pudding is in the driving, as it were. There we are. The future of Audi Sport seems to be in pretty good hands, I'd say.